Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Jonathan Freedman, and our next guest, Marc Z Moment, president of Marc Z Legal. Marc, always a pleasure to have you on Radio Entrepreneurs.
Pleasure, John. Great to see you, and I hope your holidays were enjoyable, and you're excited about the new year.
Yeah, well, the
Happy
new
New
year
Year.
brings new promise, right? And
Right.
I know you've always come with something timely and topical. Today, you want to talk about something that is bound to bring us something in 2025.
Right. No, the subject that is going to be very relevant in 2025 because of how things are trending is the utilization of artificial intelligence, AI. And there are a lot of different types of usage of AI, and it's become more and more perfected by the systems. So, for example, I know there was a funny subject about a couple of years ago about a lawyer that was using AI to search through cases, and the information was not accurate, and it followed the attorney into some hot water. Whereas now, firms and companies and organizations are figuring out the best way to use AI in terms of whether it's reports, whether or not it's seeking information on key topics, whether or not it's getting together some forward-thinking ideas on a company's future. All these little things can be very helpful with AI, with not by getting enough information that can make a really practical utilization of it.
Are you finding in your work in the recruiting world that employers are looking for people who have experience utilizing AI, or is it a question that often is getting asked today?
In some cases, we have employers wondering what the utilization, depending on the job, of AI is in terms of does somebody have a knowledge of that, how have they used it in their job, or how it would be used in the job. Because in certain positions, AI is used, but it's used in a practical fashion.
Yeah, and I think as anybody who has utilized it, it's sort of I guess in some regard surprising, but at the same token not surprising. I think there's a lot of people out there who are looking for shortcuts for anything, and it's almost like it reminds me of the kid who didn't have time to write his college term paper and turns to, a service probably back when you and I were growing up, Marc. There were these, hey, I've got a paper for you, and turning it in without reading it type of thing. And the subject matter, the title may have fit, but the subject or the content was nowhere near what it should have been. And I think that's a little bit of guidance in terms of AI. It's just because a AI I guess a bot or tool puts it together doesn't mean that it's on topic. You do yourself well to actually read it and make sure that it meets your needs. So I think that's what you're saying is a practical utilization of it is don't just take whatever AI generates and put it as gospel. Do the work, put the work
Right,
around it.
right. It's really helpful in saving time, in helping you get a project started, developing some foundation to that project or to the role that the person is going to be um, part of. But in terms of the original content and original ideas or next steps, that's where you have to be very careful in utilization of AI.
Yeah, and I would think in certain fields, as a predictive modeler of sorts, obviously in medicine, the ability to parse through, a lot of information at once. Also obviously perhaps looking at case histories, the ability to parse that information much quicker, et cetera, I would see having a value and being a valuable tool to utilize. But again, if you're a professional, do your due diligence,
Right,
take the time to read what AI is generated for you and see whether or not it aligns with your own knowledge base.
right.
Uh,
Right. But that's going to be a very important um, area to look at for the 2025 in any role that where there's a utilization of some type of information that's pertinent to a job. And I think you're going to see more and more companies, whether it's training, whether it's directing how AI will be used, whether it's talking about the type of um, conclusions drawn by AI and where AI can be of value and not value. That's going to be really important for this year.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's a tremendous tool. At the same time, there's a lot of fear associated with it, I think, because of the ability to um, it's amazing. I heard a story, I think it was yesterday on the radio when I was driving, just a quick story on the number of scams that are out there. And I guess, there's a lot that almost invariably, and we all probably fall prey to on a daily basis, whether it's texts or phone calls or emails or what have you. I mean, I think, obviously those have become much more sophisticated as well. But I think the fear of AI is that those will become even much more rampant and much more, um, real looking in a lot of ways. And so I think, we ought to be wary at the same time about, what's being generated out there. And I think AI gives us and maybe the reverse is also true. Maybe AI can be utilized to parse through what is real, what isn't. Because the average person to the naked eye looks at a text and says, "Oh, hey, that must be legit. It's got the crest of such and such agency on it." And AI could probably look at it and say, "No, the lines are off by a quarter millimeter. This isn't a legitimate logo." Things of
Right.
that nature. So, I think that. The challenge in our world is no matter what we do, there's always somebody with nefarious reasons that are trying to use it even more expeditiously or to scam people. So
Well, John, the other thing is, well, absolutely. In fact, I was listening to a program where AI, in terms of voice generation, how it was dead on in terms of voices when you're talking to somebody. But the other thing is with AI is how it will affect positions going forward in collecting of information. So that also will be a factor. So on one hand, it's going to be something that's going to be helpful in terms of a tool. On the other hand, companies may be looking at it as a way um, to limit certain roles at a company or an organization.
So I don't want to get too far afield and just another brief topic, but are you finding in because I know you do a lot of work with recruiting candidates into various industries, are you finding that recruiters are using AI more to vet candidates? And I'm not asking specifically within your firm, but I know that there's been a lot of talk of how challenging it is because people are using various screening tools that might not look at some of the nuance associated with either roles or people's backgrounds, et cetera, and can be very challenging. And I think a lot of good candidates or very capable candidates may get skipped over in some ways because the tool that was used didn't pick up on a particular nuance associated with something.
I think AI is helpful in our business with job descriptions and in terms of information for roles. But when you're looking at a resume, when you're building a resume, or when you're looking at information, I think it's really important. That's why you're being retained by the company, law firm, organization to best screen resumes and screen candidates. So again, I think AI is a good tool, but at the same time, at the end of the day, it's just like every software tool, a product, everything that's a, a piece of information
Technology,
could be
right?
gained, right? Knowledge and knowledge area, they're tools, then they can be used, but they're not. There's not a secret sauce.
Well said. I mean, you don't go to a mechanic. A mechanic uses a tool to take a part of your vehicle apart, but at the same time, they need to have the knowledge of what they're doing.
Correct.
The tools alone don't solve the problem. So, or translate that to any occupation, a surgeon, etc. They may have a scalpel and they may have various instruments that they utilize, but without that knowledge, you certainly don't want a layperson cutting you open. So.
Correct.
Well said, and I think that's a great segue for our talk on AI. I mean, I think that really sort of encompasses all of it. AI will be a tool to be utilized to supplement, to augment, etc. But it can't be taking over everything that is done. We still need to use human interaction and our brains. So. Wonderful, Mark. Great segment as always. This has been a Marc Z Moment with Marc Letchenbaum, president of Marc Z Legal. Mark, if people want to reach out to you, want to talk to you further about your thoughts on this, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Well, first of all, John, Google Marc Z, M-A-R-C and the letter Z, and we come right up. MarkZLegal.com, MarkZlegal.com. Also, our wonderful Radio Entrepreneurs website, and 617-338-1300.
Excellent. As I said, this has been a Marc Z Moment. Our pleasure always talking with you, Mark. And we'll be right back with another segment on Radio Entrepreneurs.